Hello and welcome to Minecraft to Frostland. Before we get started with today's video, I'd like to say that I might sound a little tired, a little strange because I am a bit tired and I feel a little nauseous as well. I was awoken very early. Actually, it wasn't very early, but it was early considering this is supposed to be my winter vacation. So I thought I would sleep in, like sleep a little later than usual. But the guys who do some building constructions a little down the road didn't seem to think that was a great idea, so they started with their heavy machinery, and it's been going on now for a couple of hours of a lot of noise, and even my building shaking like crazy. And I don't understand it because these last couple of weeks, maybe three or maybe even 4 weeks, there haven't been like this heavy construction down there. They haven't I haven't had trouble like the building shaking as much as it do now. So why did they choose this week to start doing that? The week where a lot of people have like a vacation. Everybody who's attending school or working at a school or even a kindergarten, and I mean all the institution things like closed now. A lot of people have a vacation, so they start doing the really heavy demolition or construction or whatever they choose to whatever they're doing. They choose to do that now. I don't know, but that seems kind of dumb and insensitive and really, really annoying. Anyway, forget about that. Maybe they're just not that smart. Um, but yeah, today, as you probably saw by the title, blop, I'm going to. Oh, I can't get out. Oh, okay. I'm going to do a review. I haven't done a lot of these, but I probably will in the future. I'll try not to I'll try not to do them all the time because I don't want this to just turn into a review series. Um, Gold. Where did I go in here? I don't know. But yeah, so I'm going to do a review of Psychonauts. I recently completed it. I think like Wednesday, Thursday, Tuesday. It's been almost a week since I completed it. I think I completed it Wednesday, but a lot of other videos I had wanted to do came up. Like for instance the 350 video and stuff like that. But I wanted the game to kind of like not do a review right away because I feel if you do a review of a game or a movie or anything else right after you've seen it or played it, feel you don't really have had time to kind of think about it, and you'd either focus completely on the good or the bad. If you really loved the game, then you probably wouldn't like focus on some bad stuff, and if you really hated the game, then you won't focus on the good stuff. So I'm gonna try to balance this out. Now, let's begin. Um, the good things is pretty much most of it because it was an amazing game. The game was, I mean, an overall great experience. Um, Great graphics, great setting. I really love the imagination that has gone into the environment and the buildings and the worlds itself. And because in Psychonauts there are several like worlds. Maybe I should do like um, a quick story breakdown of what the game is about. Whoa, the world disappeared. The game is about someone called the Psychonauts. They are like psychic agents that go into people's minds and stuff like that. And you are a kid that is attending a summer camp for upcoming for Psychonauts, kind of like Psychonaut training, and but you are special. You have a lot of powers to begin with, so that's make you a little stand out from the others. Then suddenly something starts happening that, and you are the only one that can deal with it, and that's a loose breakdown in the story. And then you go into people's minds, and the cool thing about that is that not every it changes. People have different minds, and you can tell it's like multiple games in one, but at the same time you can still see that it is the same game, and I think that's a really well done. I mean, one moment you are just jumping around the campsite, another you are trying to fool secret agents in a very very warped reality, and then you're playing like a weird board game, and there's like a level where you underwater, and one you're a giant monster, a building crushing monster, and I like the variety in the game. It makes it really, really, really stand out. And Yeah, another thing that really is great about the game is the humor in the game. It is incredibly funny, both in like spoken dialogue, but also just in the way some of the puzzles, some of the are made, and some of the things that you do in the game, the world itself, the environment. It's a really great humor. I think Tim Schafer is the guy who made it. I haven't played any other of his game. I know it's a flaw. I need to do that. But yeah, this was the I really laughed out loud many times as I was playing it. So yeah, this is the gameplay mechanics, with the exception of a few, especially one. The gameplay mechanics worked really great. There was like a lot of things. There was like you could high jumps, and there was like floating through the sky. You had like your oh, I can't even remember all of them. There was a lot of different abilities you could use. Like you could shoot people, and there was like you could hit people. Yeah, but so really awesome stuff. Made the game really unique in another way. But it was clear to see. I think this is originally made for the consoles, because you should the. I felt like a lot of the times when you have to select the different powers, you kind of got out of the gameplay because you had to go into a menu instead of just having, oh, I'll select it by pressing a button, because you know when you have a keyboard in front of you, you can actually do more. And a lot of the time you weren't told when you went into a certain area, you weren't told which of the powers you needed, which is okay with me. But then you have to like go into a menu and switch out these powers, and it would have been nicer if you could do that a little bit faster. That wouldn't actually change the difficulty of the game or anything. It would just change how I don't know. It would make the game a lot not easier, but I don't know. Let's go sleep. What's on TV? Uh huh. Um, but yeah, let's like I said, an overall great experience. But of course, like every game, there were some flaws. There's no such thing as a flawless game. So let's talk about the bad things. Um, One thing I really didn't like about the game was the camera angles. At certain times, the camera angles were horrible. Uh, you, During like crucial jumps, really important jumps, that you suddenly couldn't see yourself, and you couldn't see where you were landing. Sometimes the things like this thing, for instance, let's do it like this. Okay, Minecraft doesn't do it, but yeah, imagine you standing here, this thing would block your view like this, but even worse, and stuff like that. The camera angles were at times really annoying, but I think they actually did a pretty good job with the camera. Like the camera works, so but the camera is sensitivity. You had to control. Sometimes you had to control the view and stuff like that. That was kind of awkward and stiff. I set my mouse sensitivity to like fullest to loosest. I don't know what you call that. And still, it felt really stiff, the camera, especially when you wanted to look up. I like had to move. Sometimes when I did that, my mouse went all the way off my mouse mat, and that shouldn't be right. And even like turning sometimes seemed like a really hard time to do. Not hard to do, but it took a lot longer than it should, even with the highest mouse sensitivity. I don't know if it's highest or lowest. I'm thinking this like this that would be lowest, and things like that would be the highest. I don't know if that is the correct way to say it. But yeah, the mouse sensitivity was really weird. What else? What else? Oh yeah, like I said, there were some abilities that didn't really work as they should, and one of these was the telekinesis. The idea of having telekinesis in the game was amazing, and it worked at times when you didn't have, but when you weren't in a battle, when you just had to move something with your telekinesis, it worked like a charm. But as soon as you were in a battle and everything was rushed, it felt very awkward and clumsy because first you had to grab the thing, then you had to set a direction, and then you had to let go of it, the thing. It didn't feel natural. At times I wish they'd had done it a little more like the gravity gun in Half-Life 2, which I haven't played, but I know how it works. With that, you kind of suck the thing to it and then let go where you wanted it to go. This one, you had to kind of grab it, rotate a cursor, and then let go for the direction you wanted. And it just, during battles, it felt awkward, and there were battles where you needed to use this. That brings me to another point. I really love how the game didn't hold your hand. It didn't tell you what to do in certain situations, but at times it went a little too far with not telling you what to do because there were times when it was almost impossible to figure it out due to various things. Like, for instance, there is a battle where you're on. Spoiler alert. There might be spoilers in this review, but I'm gonna try to stay clear of spoilers. And even if I spoil a few things of the game, I would say that it's still worth playing because there's so much more. But yeah, there's a battle where you're underground and you're fighting against the sea monster, and you're supposed to trap this sea monster's tongue. I think it's its tongue, or it's a tentacle, I can't remember. But you're supposed to trap that in a clam. Now the problem is these clams, just a few minutes earlier during the same battle, but a different stage of the battle, you had to avoid those clams because when you got near them, they hurt you. They even hurt you in the level where you're supposed to use them when you get near them. So the first thing you're thinking is not, hey, I used these because they've served me great earlier. No, they were your enemies. You were trying to avoid them earlier. But it's really hard to figure out that the things you were trying to avoid just a few seconds, minutes earlier, you're now supposed to use to your advantage. Yeah, that I don't know. That seemed a little weird. They should have maybe had the not telling you directly, but made the clams look a little different. So you're thinking, hey, these are not the same clams. Maybe I'm supposed to do something with them. You're not. You won't think that. Hey, this clam that tried to hurt me. I could use that. And maybe if you thought a little bit about it, you could figure it out. But I felt like it just felt weird that you'd because, like I said, they were your enemy. I don't know. Another time, this was really weird in my opinion. There was this place where you had to get into through a door, but the problem is, as soon as the girl who opened the door saw you, she slammed the door in your face. So I thought, how the hell am I doing that? I tried again and again. So finally, I looked it up through a guide, and what do you know? It tells me to go invisible. Now here's the thing. I didn't know invisibility was even a thing in the game. How the fuck was I supposed to know that I was supposed to go get the power of invisibility and then use it when nobody ever told me any time in the game that it was a power I could get? Earlier in the game, they made sure that you couldn't get into areas where you needed certain powers. They told you, oh, yeah, you can't go through there because you need this power. Then all of a sudden, they stopped doing that. They just allow you to go into this area, go through it, and then realize, oh, I need a power. Yes, you could jump out of the game, but if you didn't know that there were the power of invisibility, how would you figure out that you were supposed to go get it? It's a little awkward. You might eventually figure it out, but because you had to go to this guy who gave you powers, but still. And this was like, I think the game did this 3 or 4 times where I came to an area where I needed a power I didn't even know I had, and it wasn't always the same guy that you had to get the powers from. There was another time we had to get some powers from a guy I hadn't even met yet, and suddenly I was here standing like, what the hell am I supposed to do? I don't know what to do here, and that felt a bit odd, to be honest. Before we get to what I consider the worst part of the game, I am going to talk a little bit about a thing that wasn't a bad thing, it didn't annoy me, but after a while I couldn't care less about it. And that is the game's constant collecting. The game wants you to collect everything from something called figment of your imagination, which is of course figment of imagination, collect arrowheads, collect spider webs. I mean, no, mind webs. And I think there were collect suitcases with, and I don't even know what the suitcase was about. You didn't seem to get any rewards for that. I don't know if it's some final score thing, which I couldn't care less about. But the thing about the constant collecting was there were rewards. It wasn't just, oh, you get an achievement. There were actually in-game rewards. You could get more powers, more abilities by doing this, collecting things. You leveled up by collecting things. But after a while, it became boring and repetitive because there were constantly these figments of your imagination all over the place. Let's do an example. Imagine you go in here, and these are just all over the place. So you have to go here, oh, here, 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 jump all over the place. Sometimes you had to jump, sometimes you had to go over here. And it was easy. And that was actually the most annoying part. You just went around in a room, picked up everything you saw, and then you left again. There was probably something else, reason for you to go in the room in the first place, but that was like to go here and then leave. But no, you had to go all around the room, pick up all these things. And after a while, that just became extremely boring, even if there was like a reward for it. And the thing about the spider web things you mind webbed, which you also could get a reward for that you had to get out a special equipment and use it and then put it away. And so I did that a few times, but other times I think, no, I can't be bothered. I wish that all these rewards or whatever you want to call them would be a little different. Like a challenge. Maybe fight this guy, hey, you get this. Maybe do this quiz, you get this. Instead of just jumping around for no reason, pick up everything you see, it became boring. And at the pretty much at the end game, before you go to point of no return, the game asks you, hey, you've been hoarding a lot of things. Will you want to go to this place and get your reward for it? And I was like, nah, I'm good. Because that was the thing. Whenever you got all these things, instead of just leveling up, you had to go to this guy to get some reward and then leave again. And I don't know. After a while, that was in the beginning, that was fun. I mean, but after a while, it just felt like, oh, now you have to go to this guy again, and he'll give you something, and then you leave. Oh, now I have to go back to this guy again, and it was like, ugh. I couldn't be bothered. It wasn't a bad thing, and others would probably like that part. But I was just like, after a while, it just became. I just didn't care anymore, and I didn't really need to either because when I came to like the end game, I didn't feel like I would have done any better with getting my upgrades. Because the last part was hard, but it had nothing to do with upgrades, and that is the part we're getting to now. Second to last level was the most horrible fucked up experience I've ever encountered in any game. That might be a lie, but it was. That level should not have been there. I'm not gonna spoil the level too much. Actually, I am. No, I'm not. I'm gonna spoil one thing. There's a place where you need to jump on some metal fences. And this is the hardest part of that level, but it's not the only hard part. The thing is, you need to get up on these fences. Getting up on top of these fences is a pain as it's in itself, because your jumping in the game is not really that precise. So you have to get up on this very thin fence. And if you fall down, well, then you have to start over. Now, the problem is then, when you finally land on it, then you're thinking, hey, I wanna. Then you have to jump from that fence to another fence. But in order for you to line up your jump a little bit, you have to move. But the problem is, if you try to rotate yourself, like do this, it does actually this. It moves when you try to turn around, and you fall down, and you have to start over again. And it doesn't. I mean, believe me, it's a lot more frustrating than it sounds. And the really stupid part about it is that a few seconds earlier you were walking on a tightrope. On that tightrope, your character automatically clicked on. The only way you could fall off this tightrope was by actually jumping off on purpose. So here you have a thing that is wider than the tightrope, and here you have to balance manually. That didn't make any fucking sense. It felt so misplaced in the game. That level was horrible. It wasn't fun. It wasn't entertaining. There was this guy, your father, by the way, who was shouting at you constantly, repeating the same line over and over again. If the line wasn't funny, it wasn't even like mean. I don't know if it was supposed to be him taunting you, but it just felt stupid. That level was so frustrating, so annoying, and frankly so boring that I quit the game for 2 days before finally wanting to play that level again. It wasn't really the difficulty. It was the combination of the difficulty, the frustrations, and that guy constantly screaming in your face. It wasn't fun. And then we get to the last level, which was over in a few seconds. Maybe minutes. But the last level was 10 times easier. The final boss was 10 times easier than the level just before it. That doesn't make sense. During the end game. The end game, without spoiling it, consists of 4 levels. 2 boss battles, 2 jumping. The boss battles combined was still 100 times easier than any of the jumping puzzles. Maybe not 100 times, but still. It felt weird. The boss battles was easy. A lot of the boss battles earlier in the game was a lot harder than those were. But the jumping puzzles was harder than anything you'd ever before encountered in the game. Like, it went from being hard to being insane. That might just be me. I mean, no, I mean, I know I suck at jumping puzzles, but I did fairly good at the rest of the game. But this part, and I know I'm not alone with in this, because I looked it up because I thought, hey, maybe there's a trick I don't know, and everybody wrote that those metal fences there and that second to last level was the hardest in the game, and it went from like it was. Ugh. That game should have been done differently, or maybe not even have put in the game. It felt like they were running out of ideas by that point. But, like I said in the beginning, the overall experience was amazing. A game, a funny, interesting game that really never gets boring, except for that one level, and with tons of original and ideas and original gameplay and variety and stuff like that. So if you want to play a really interesting game, go ahead and try Psychonauts. it's worth it. It's definitely worth it. Even if you, like me, suck at platformers, it's still worth a try. Well, that was a very messy review. I hope you got something out of it. um, Today's videos are Stalker, Shadow of Chernobyl, which I have no idea what is about to it because I haven't actually recorded them yet. We're probably checking out the I think it was the Control Bunker, and I probably suck still. I suck at that game, but I'm still enjoying it very much. I actually thought about something. I'm actually in a way happy that I'm not super good at first-person shooters because I like to be kind of a flawed character, and they don't really make flawed characters in games that often. It's always some super soldier or something like that. But it's more fun to me. It's more enjoyable to play a character that isn't like a super trained soldier, a cop, or something like that. And so I kind of get my wish by not really being great at games, and I don't want to be great at games. I like being flawed because it feels more like the person I would be in real life. I mean, in real life I would die, but in the real, but it's closer to me in games when I don't really do good than I don't know. I don't mind being bad at games. I've actually heard some people, not directly to me, I think one person directly to me, but mostly just to others. Why do you play games when you suck at them? I don't have to prove myself. That's a really weird thing. A lot of people these days feel like the place they have to prove themselves is in video games. No, the place you have to prove yourself, if you actually feel like you have to prove yourself, is in real life. Be good at life. Enjoy video games. If you can do both, great. But I feel like a lot of people can't. Because a lot of gamers, not all and not a majority, but there is a lot of gamers that seem to be complete assholes. Maybe you should stop focusing on being good at games and maybe being good at being a human being instead. Not writing comments like, oh, you suck, I could do better than you. Oh, I'm better at this game than you are. Yeah, but you're worse at life, so you still lose. I enjoy video games for what it is. And another reason why I'm not really good at any video games genre is because I don't play just one genre. I play them all. I play strategy games, RPGs, adventure games, first-person shooters, driving games, sandbox games, everything. So I guess I'll never be good at one genre, but the good thing about it, I can enjoy everything. And even if I die constantly in a game or don't really do well in a game, I'm still enjoying myself. The only time I'm not enjoying a game is if that game is not enjoyable. It has nothing to do with my skills. And I kind of feel sorry for you if you can't enjoy something you're bad at or you won't do something you're bad at. Because you're missing out on a lot of things, both in video games and in life. Take chances. Just do what you want to do. Don't think, oh, I'm bad at this, so I shouldn't do it. If you want to sing and everybody says, oh, you sing horribly, but if you still feel like, but if you just still sing, if you want to sing, don't care about them and whatever what about people say. And maybe become, if you really want to sing, maybe if you want to be a singer, take lessons. Don't just think, oh, I sing terribly, I'm gonna stop now. And that's one of the things I really hate about those reality TV shows like Idols or X Factor. They really break a lot of spirits by not saying just, oh, you have potential. You can, if you have a little training. No, it's more, hey, fuck you, you suck. Maybe not that harsh, but it's like that. And that's the same in the video game industry. If you want to play video games, do it. Don't care what other people say if you're good at it or bad at it. Just enjoy it. Okay, I was. Oh. Okay, on with the show. I just felt like saying that. Oh, that's the problem with these videos. I keep just ranting on. The other video for today is Warframe. And you will clearly tell by the video that I'm not really enjoying that game that much anymore. It's a repetitive and, to me, become a little boring. It's still a great game, but for others, not for me. It's not my kind of game, but I can see why some people would like it. But I think this will probably maybe be the last Warframe for now. Who knows? I might return to the game, but I'm not just not really enjoying it because it's. I'll talk a little bit about that in today's video. Um, so yeah, I will see you later for more gaming, and I'll see you tomorrow for more Minecraft. Bye bye.